Hello and welcome to EduCurious, where we highlight exceptional educators and dive deep into complex issues. Today's guest is Tommy Franks, Executive Director of the Lake Wales Arts Council. So, welcome, Tommy.
Thanks so much for having me.
It's so great to have you on the show. I love everything related to art, everything creative, and I want to hear all about what you're doing with the Lake Wales Arts Council.
I've been involved with the Arts Council for almost 4 years. My previous experience comes from managing a studio for 9 years in Kansas City that was all ceramics. When I came to Lake Wales and I saw what the Arts Council had to offer, I saw that we had a lot of great music programming and some really great visual arts programming in painting and drawing. And I wanted to expand into ceramics because it's not something that we have a lot of in our section of Polk County or Central Florida in general. And then we also expanded into stained glass because there was an opportunity that came along for us to be able to absorb a lot of stained glass studio materials. And we happened to find an instructor at the same time. And so we expanded in that way too. We are a great, thriving arts center in a small city that's able to satisfy a lot of people's creative needs when it comes to music and when it comes to some other performing arts and lots of visual arts too.
Talk about your connection with our education system here. A lot of your clients are students here in the Lake Wales community. So, how do you make that connection, which is so important?
What we have as kind of a community arts center is something that's a little bit different from your standard academic situation that you would find in a town like ours. Assessment is not something that we're really concerned about. Retention always is because we want to make sure that people are enjoying the creative experiences that they're having. But one of the things we can do is work outside of an academic environment to where we can make the experience of learning a different type of creative skills really fun, really engaging, in a lot of ways very community based. People who are coming to us for classes are developing friendships with each other. They're also developing more of a love with the material or the instruments that they're working with. And so we're able to use education as a way of actually connecting people together in community.
Tell me about what you have going on with your summer programs. They are well underway and thriving.
Yes, so we've got some really great summer arts programs for kids, some summer arts camps. We've been doing it for a long time. One of the ways that I know that is because we have parents who are bringing their kiddos to camp who were campers themselves. And so that gives you an idea of multiple decades that we've been doing things like summer arts camp. But one of the things that we've been wanting to do since I got here and working with a few people in the community is kind of listening to what the Arts Council has done and what other opportunities there might be for us in the community is working with teenagers. We've got a lot of people in our area, teenagers who are interested in the arts. They feel like they're kind of on the fringe or on the margins of our small little city in Lake Wales. And so we want to be able to create a space for them to where they can continue whatever creative education they might have had during arts camp, but then be able to pull them forward as teenagers into more of a deep dive of something they're passionate about. So that could be with pottery and ceramics. It could be with painting. It could be with music. We're also trying to figure out if we can develop a relationship for programming with the Little Theater here in Lake Wales. We already have a great relationship with them, but how could we possibly put together a camp or types of education experiences that would help to develop more of the performing arts through theater for the teenagers that we have here in town?
Do you ever pair up the teenagers with some of your younger art students as a way to mentor?
We do have some really great teenage helpers and college age helpers when it comes to camp. So they are our counselors. Some of them go from being counselors into becoming our instructors. And so they develop those relationships. I always see kids who enjoy seeing counselors year after year. Some of those older students that they've engaged with, they've developed friendships with. And it's really nice to see those types of relationships that continue to develop.
What about some of the local teachers? They are on summer break. Do you use them in any capacity with your summer arts camp program?
Absolutely. In fact, that's kind of the best part about us being able to grab some educators who are taking that summer break off. Again, they don't have to do grades, they don't have to deal with those assessments. And so, what they're able to do is just kind of come in and purely teach something that they're interested in. The nice part about that is that they're vetted already. We have background checks on them, they're already in the system. And so, we have confidence in their skills. I think for them, one of the things that they enjoy is They are really, again, just kind of teaching a subject that they love. Some of them are teaching art subjects that they don't necessarily teach in the classroom. Maybe they're teaching, kind of a general second or third grade or something like that. This, they get to kind of go into their passion and get to teach the kids about that and get to see them grow over the course of a week or multiple weeks if we have kiddos that return week after week.
Speaking of passion, what is your favorite part about the Lake Wales Arts Council?
I think my favorite part about the Lake Wales Arts Council is this rich history that we have and the way that it is so firmly connected to the growth of our city. The Arts Council started in 1972, and so that's over 50 years of history to where we have been dovetailing into a variety of different things in the city. If you look at the Lake Wales Chorale, that was birthed right before, but also kind of inside of the Lake Wales Arts Council. If you look at these arts camps as something that's grown, music camps, Sandy's MusicGirl, which is another camp that we support that's just for girls between the ages of 6 and 19. It's a totally free program that teaches girls about singing and stringed instruments. It's taught exclusively by women. And so these girls get to see women who are pursuing a life within those performative arts. We've also got things like the Marilyn Newell Youth Music Festival, which has a 19-year history of rewarding excellence or awarding excellence within musical performance, classical musical performance. So we see kids who are doing that instrumentally or vocally, but they come to Lake Wales with their parents and they compete in order to get some prizes. So the fact that we've been able to create a variety of these types of things that have allowed us to engage with the community over a long time is something that I find just really, really special about what the Arts Council has here in Lake Wales.
So my curiosity is piqued. If I have somebody interested in Sandy's music camp, what do I do?
The best way is to enroll. So our enrollment for that typically opens up in April. It's full 2 weeks later with a waiting list. It's something that we do through our website or through Sandy's Music Girls specific website, which is linked from the Arts Council's website. I would say for anybody who's directly interested in that, get on the mailing list. If you can get on the email list for the Arts Council and for Sandy's Music Girls, you will be in the know. So you will know when those enrollment deadlines are approaching. You'll know what the save the dates are. You'll be able to put it on your calendar and make sure that you can get your child, your girl specifically, enrolled in something like Sandy's Music Girls.
So you have all of these programs. Some of them are at a cost. Some of them are free to the community. How is something like the Arts Council, which is a non-for-profit, funded? How do you go about making sure it's thriving and healthy as a business?
We've got a couple of different revenue streams that help us out. One of those is going to be grants that come from federal grants, state grants, county grants, and the city of Lake Wales supports us. So we're always kind of looking for grants and writing those. There's a few that we steadily write every year, but we're always looking for new ones. We get support from other private foundations. We also get support from corporations. So there's a variety of those that we steadily work with. Mountain Lake Community Service is a really big supporter, especially of our youth programs. But Duke Energy is a big supporter of youth programs too. So you're looking at a nonprofit foundation versus a corporate entity. Both of them are interested in supporting the arts. But where I feel like we get the best local support is going to be from people who are annual members of the Arts Council. So these are folks who are putting together their pennies, nickels, and dimes and purchasing an annual membership every year. And then you've also got earned income. So we have earned income for some of the classes that we charge for, some of the concerts that we charge for. And another big revenue stream for us is event rentals. So you can rent out our incredibly gorgeous facility for weddings or receptions. We've had celebration of life ceremonies. We've also had civic events like the Chamber of Commerce that have come in to do things there. And that's another good revenue stream. Here's the capstone: diverse revenue streams. For us as a nonprofit, any one of those things could drop off based on the economy. What we want to do is make sure that we've got a few things that are kind of cobbled together so that if one of them falls away for a year or two, we're still able to survive.
One of the Arts Council's pinnacle events that I've always remembered growing up here is the Lake Wales Art Show. Give me the scoop on that.
All right, so the Lake Wales Arts Festival turns 55 years old in 2026. It's a really exciting milestone for us. There's not a lot of art shows that have survived that amount of time, and ours has done really well. It originally started in the public shopping center, the Southgate Shopping Center. I think it did that for about a year, and then it moved to downtown Lake Wales. It was in downtown Lake Wales on Park and Stewart for about 10 or 15 years, but then it needed to grow. We needed space to expand. So we moved it down to Lake Wales Park. And at Lake Wales Park, we have had a range of 60 to 120 artists who have participated in the show. One of the things that turned it into an arts festival was the addition of more hands-on activities for kids and families, adding in some food trucks, some live music, having an Artbarbecue event that helps to thank sponsors and greet the artists who are coming in to sell their wares to our community and to showcase what they've been making. It's really made it into a great lively event. It's a 2-day event and 3-day if you count Artbarbecue. It's one of the things that I look forward to every year. I've done our art show, and around 2005, 2006, I was actually a participant in the Lake Wales Arts Festival. And it's kind of neat to have that history from 20 years ago as a participant, and then the experience of helping to administrate it this nowadays.
So let's go to that. I want to hear about your art as a career, how you started out, like your history and your involvement in art.
So when I was young, I was the kid who was doodling in elementary school classes when I wasn't supposed to be. I like to think that it helps me connect to what I was learning to what I was actually kind of scribbling. That's actually been something that's happened all the way through my adult life. If I'm kind of like journaling, visually journaling, drawing or sketching things out, I have a tendency to remember things better than if I'm just writing notes. That kind of turned into drawing and painting when I was in high school. And I had some really, really great teachers in my public high school at Chamberlain High School, where I grew up in Tampa, Florida. That turned into pursuing art as a major when I was in college. So I went to Asbury College, which is a small liberal arts college outside of Lexington, Kentucky. So a Florida boy had to deal with winter. Although I think there's some people that wouldn't regard Kentucky as having harsher winters at all. But for me, it was an adjustment. And I found that being in the studio was this kind of like wonderful, moody time in the winter when it's cold outside, when there's, when it's a different type of look. It's gray, it's kind of mucky from leftover snow. Being in the studio gave me this time to be able to really hone in and work on my artwork. And within those different studio practices classes that I was taking in college, I found ceramics. And when I found ceramics, I found the pottery wheel. And I just, like so many people, I got addicted to it, man. It was awesome. It was just a really great kind of meditative experience. I know that some people like to say, oh, throwing on the wheel is very zen. It's not at the beginning. It's a serious challenge to try to overcome. But when I was able to overcome that, I really got into a zone where I loved throwing pots on the wheel. And so that's where my love of ceramics came on. I did a variety of artist residencies after I got out of college. I was at the St. Pete Clay Company. I was at Odyssey Studios in Asheville, North Carolina. I did a summer residency at the Archie Bray Foundation in Helena, Montana, which is kind of a big deal. Just saying, within my field anyway. And then I did some post-baccalaureate study at the University of Florida. I got my graduate degree at Bowling Green State University. And from there, I started working in a variety of studios, especially that, managing the Belger Craneyard Studios in Kansas City, Missouri. And I did that for about a decade until COVID hit, and I decided I could move to Lake Wales. But within that whole career path, ceramics was making pottery. It was firing it in raku kilns or wood kilns or soda kilns, gas kilns, electric kilns, kind of learning all these different firing processes. And then lots of different forms. So pots on the wheel, pots off the wheel, as far as handmade things, making some sculpture, making large scale sculpture. When I was in graduate school, I worked with a guy that made ceramic airplane wings, John Balistreri. And when you have that type of person as a resource, you can't help but make big stuff. So I made piggy banks that were 5 feet tall. I made stacks of slip cast piggy banks. I made like these large objects that required forklifts to move in and out of these huge kilns. I mean, it's not your grandma's ceramics, but having the ability to learn and to grow and to see what this material can do, which feels kind of infinite sometimes. That's, I think, what's made me love working in clay for so long.
What is your advice to expand on creativity and follow your passion and your dreams?
I think that there's an appropriate time for making art, and it's kind of all the time, right? I feel like if you're a kid and you're in the classroom, you want to be able to respect that as much as possible. Like I said, I would sketch as a way of helping to understand the subjects that were being talked about, right? But if you're not in a confined environment with set rules, figure out whatever art you want to make. Art can be an athletic activity, right? It doesn't have to just be controlled and down here. You have big action painting that goes on, right? You've got a sculpture that involves moving heavy stuff from here to there and putting things together. Wood assemblage with like glue and nails and screwing things together. And the idea of like having that physical activity of making art, like dive into it, give it a shot. When it comes to music, you're going to make really bad sounds before you make good ones. When it comes to art, you're going to make really awful looking stuff before you make good things. But you've got to kind of work through those rough spots in order to get to the good stuff. So I would encourage anybody that wants to make art, especially when you're young, just keep pushing through it. Even if it's not great, even if you feel a little down on what it is, that's natural. That's fine. Push through a little bit of that failure and you will find more and more success. I think of a quote that I just learned recently. It was actually from a vocal coach that Julie Andrews was working with. She's the star of The Sound of Music and Peter Pan and other things. The quote goes like this, that amateurs practice until they get it right, but professionals practice until it can't go wrong.
So talk about the Arts Council programming. Some of the classes that are on the list, on the lineup, maybe dive in a little bit about some of the really popular ones and what the expectations are. Do you have to come in knowing anything?
So we've got a lot of entry level stuff. And so if people are interested in coming in because they've never thrown on the potter's wheel or they've never cut a piece of glass before, we can offer you all the skills that it takes to get started in an introductory way. But we've also got some really great professional artists that come in for workshops. So, for example, this fall, we're going to have our second year of the Plein Air Symposium. This takes place at Bach Tower Gardens. It's mostly for painters, but it's really for anybody who likes to draw or work with oil pastels or work with graphite, not to mention oil painting, acrylic painting, watercolor. What we do is we bring in professional artists from around the state of Florida. They come down, they present demonstrated techniques that they use in their own art practice, and then our people are let loose in Bach Tower Gardens to go capture and paint and sketch or come up with resolved compositions of what they see all around Bach Tower Gardens. So that could just be plants. That could be the beautiful landscapes that are set up. It could be the tower itself. It could be El Retiro, but we see a lot of people who are making really great observations and compositions of something like that. But then we've got a professional artist who's on the West Coast. Her name is Diana Fate. She's a potter. She's going to be coming in to talk about how she makes pots and how she puts images on her pots. So sometimes that's image transfer or stippling or stenciling. She's going to be talking about that. Then we've got another artist named Paige Medlock Johnson, and she's going to be coming from Kentucky. She's going to be talking about stained glass and how she assembles compositions and then talks about the tips and tricks that she uses to make some really, really beautiful stained glass work. As far as working with other educative things when it comes to music, one of the initiatives we're putting together this year is workshops for students, mostly high school students, middle school, high school students, to learn how to beef up their skills when it comes to musicianship. So we're going to have a vocal coach come in. We're going to have a percussion coach, someone who does brass, someone who works with woodwinds or strings. And that's a way for our students, especially, to be able to improve their skills when it comes to making music. So we really try to like have that full range, people who are at the beginning level, and then people who really want to improve and increase if they already know what they're doing.
I've done a couple episodes on AI, artificial intelligence. Where does that fit in art? as you foresee it?
My feeling on artificial intelligence is similar to like a couple of different blogs or Instagram posts or conversations that I've had with people. It satisfies a quick itch, but anything that's really worth making is worth spending time on. I think that artificial intelligence can do a really good job of sketching something out. Sometimes, if you're going to take your idea and see a quick result of it, it kind of loses steam. You're like, oh, well, I don't really need to make that composition because it kind of already exists, or a different artist has already made it. Or in this case, AI can crank it out in 30 seconds. Maybe that means that composition was okay just to see AI make. There's other things as humans that we have to, it's in our nature to want to create it, to want to figure out how to get perfect chiaroscuro, shading on something, to try to find like the perfect sequence of notes and to know that your hand actually played those. I think we naturally as humans want to find challenges and overcome them. AI shortcuts that, and I think that's okay for certain things, but I don't think it's ever going to take away that like inherent need that we have to creatively challenge ourselves and to overcome those challenges. So maybe AI is a tool, but I don't know if it's something that's ever really going to replace that creative spirit that all of us inherently have.
So speaking on the future, the projections with AI and everything, what are your future hopes and goals for the Arts Council in the next couple of years?
I mean, I feel like the Arts Council kind of looking around at what we've been a part of and what we've seen grow in our community for over 50 years will help to kind of inform the things that we really, really value. It also helps us know things that we've tried that just don't necessarily click or jive with the community any longer. I think we're never going to see education go away. I think that education is something that, again, it brings people together. It helps to create that skills building. It gives people kind of a passion and an interest. I think the concerts that we have are this beautiful time to come and enjoy music and to see and to deeply respect these professional musicians that have worked so hard to, to put these different musical concerts together. I think our visual art gallery is going to continue to be something that's really kind of fascinating and interesting. One of the things that one of the passions that I have for the Arts Council in any community, but definitely here in Lake Wales, is to find out how we can help build up our like local economy. Is there a way that the arts can help with all the other facets that we have of Lake Wales life? Can it be something that helps to further economically develop our town? Can the arts be something that helps to connect our town? We have a wonderfully diverse population. Can the Arts Council specifically find out where within those communities we can connect people and connect across different types of cultural, ethnic divides? As a way of kind of maybe bringing a little peace and harmony, but creativity and a little spice of life to what it's like being here in Lake Wales. I think those are those are some of the passions that we have. When I'm looking at like what where we could go, what we could do, I could see our space creating even more revenue through our event rentals. In fact, I think we could get so booked up that we might have to look at expanding and possibly having another location downtown where we can be closer to that economic development of downtown specifically. We're already doing great things with Lake Wales Live, a concert series that's in partnership with the city and with Main Street that happens downtown. But it would be nice while that big group of people is downtown to also have some type of visual art experience, or to see that we have art classrooms that are downtown that are easily accessible. So those are some of the things that we're kind of daydreaming about, ways that the arts and the Arts Council can integrate even more into the community of Lake Wales.
Expand on the Lake Wales Live, especially with the collaborative part.
The Arts Council in Main Street did Rockin' Main Street, which was kind of in the parking lot area that has now become the beautiful Market Plaza area. The three of us decided to combine forces. When we did that, we started offering a much larger production value to inviting musical performers to come to Lake Wales and perform. And I think the first couple of years, a lot of that music was a little bit of country, a little bit of alt country, a little bit of bluegrass, some rock and roll, and maybe some southern fried rock. And as much as that is great and that feeds a certain amount of the population, we are now looking at ways of having different types of music to add into it. So we've added in some jazz, which is something that's, been within the canon of the Arts Council location for a long time, but we've been trying to bring some of that downtown. We've got a great bossa nova Brazilian jazz band that's coming in January of this year. So that'll be a different type of music. And we're starting off the whole season with Sounds of Lake Wales, which is going to be kind of a collaborative effort with a couple of people that'll include musicians from the high school. It'll include local bands. It'll be solo performers. It'll be kind of a talent variety show of the musical abilities that we have for locals here in Lake Wales. And that'll be a great way to start the season. And then we're going to have these other professional performers that are coming in, people we can enjoy and be inspired by. So it's a free outdoor concert event. Takes place just about once a month. It's in downtown Lake Wales. It's right on Park Avenue, there where Market Plaza has been revitalized. It's a beautiful setting. It's a way for us to encourage restaurants to be open in the evening. Maybe some of our local bars or watering holes to, pick up some business, and really just for our community to kind of get together and enjoy, listening to music together in a really beautiful place that we're really proud of.
What advice do you have on with our education systems, making sure that they value and let art within their classroom and within their schools thrive?
I think that happens personally. So I think that any of those instructors or educators having a personal encounter with the arts helps to inform that. That question that you just asked, how can the Arts Council help to integrate more with local education, is something we're asking ourselves right now. It's something that we're asking educators. We're doing little things, right? Little things being field trips, whether it could even be a field trip of teachers to be able to come to the Arts Council, see the things that we have going on that would help inspire them in their respective classrooms. But we've gone to teachers. I went to Janie Howard Wilson Elementary at the end of their academic year this past May. We did a paint along with the teachers. And we just had a really great time kind of going step by step on how to make this little beehive with these bees and this crazy composition. And we just had a great time doing it, and that was a way of kind of helping to bring the arts to them. Within that, we talked about some of the formal elements of making art, but we also celebrated the fact that nobody made the same thing. Everybody's looked a little bit different. Some people got ahead of my instructions. Other people were way behind. We had some people who were very underconfident, people who were very overconfident. And we were able to kind of celebrate all those different, ways of people approaching art, approaching this little painting project. If those two examples are just little microcosms of what we could help to accomplish with educators in the arts, we got a really bright future ahead of us of what we'll be able to do and integrating those things into our local education system.
So I met you a couple years ago when you came back into Lake Wales, and you are so fascinating. I want to hear about you, what you like to do outside of your actual job, what kind of hobbies and interests that you have with your family.
Sure. So, most artists will attest it can be very difficult to separate your professional thing from your personal life, mostly because it just takes so much time to make artwork. That being said, my family lives here. That's why I came to Lake Wales from Kansas City. It's my mom, my dad, my brother. When I got here, I fell in love with a woman named Faith, and I made her my wife. And so we've got a great little house that we enjoy. We love going to church together. We've got a great church community that we participate in. Because my family is here, we've been able to spend a lot of time with them. My brother recently found someone that he got married to, and so we hang out with their family a lot. My brother and I are horrible golfers, but we love to play golf. And I would say that's probably one of my number one hobbies, especially since I get to do it with him after years of not living near my family. The fact that we can get together weekly for dinner, that my brother and I every so often can go play golf together. These are like some extra joys in my life. I fixed up a zero-turn lawnmower with my uncle. Now I get to mow the lawn easier at my house. I mean, there's small little joys and things that I kind of love. When it comes to, I think a lot like the common thread between my hobbies or my interests outside of my career, A lot of them are going to be people based. It's going to be community based stuff, whether that's with family or church family. I kind of love being around people and enjoying the experiences of what it's like with friendship and relationships.
I feel like your van time, your van era might have a little bit of a story with your travels and seeing what people are doing other places and bringing those elements back to Lake Wales. So dive into that.
So when I left Kansas City, I decided to buy a camper van. It was a Ford Transit camper van. I brought it, I was heading into winter. So this was around October, November that I purchased the van. And I knew that I wanted to renovate it. There were some things that I wanted to change about it. And I thought, well, what better place to do that than Florida, where winter was going to be a very different experience, albeit much warmer. And so I brought the van down here and I lived with mom and dad, and I renovated the van in the garage. And it took about 3 or 4 months because I basically decided to take a van that already existed and gut it, pull everything out, rebuild half of the components, and put it right back in. And during that time, Faith and I were falling in love. So, she would come and visit. She was working from home a lot because it was still pretty COVID-y during that time. And we would hang out and work on the van, and she would hold things or, nail things or decorate things was a major part of their contribution to the van. And we took it out on a road trip. We were gone for about a month. And in that time, we got to visit some galleries, some artist studios. We got to meet with my friends in the Midwest, her friends in the Midwest. And, that time was just really, really valuable when it came to kind of getting around and getting to know each other, right? And then, loving van life. But the crazy part of it is by the time we got back, I was in love. Like I didn't want to jump in my van and leave town, which was kind of the original plan. So that's when I got involved with the Arts Council. And that's when I walked in and wanted to volunteer and found out that there were actually some staff positions available. And so I jumped on board. Since then, for the next 2 or so years, we still had the van. And so we would take little weekend trips. We went down to the Everglades. We went up to the North Georgia mountains. We would go up to Tennessee or to Kentucky. Having the ability to kind of live out of the van meant that we could just go anywhere we wanted to and to be in the presence of nearly anything that we could get to within a weekend or a week or something like that. So again, it was filled with studio visits and museums and art galleries. And, anytime you travel, you are opening up your experience to so many other things that exist. There's a Mark Twain quote, where he talks about travel being the thing that just eliminates bigotry and ignorance because you are seeing other cultures, you are experiencing other places. North Georgia mountains, no really great big cultural change there, but you can definitely see how you're going to have an influence of being elsewhere that's going to help to inform the place that you call home.
With our schools in particular, and we're about to hit a new era of growth in the Lake Wales area. How do we make sure that we are creating the next generation of students that are capable of the jobs that are coming up, but also that are encouraged to be creative and come up with new solutions to things we might not know even exist today?
You probably talked to, a lot of educators who are having this rough experience of working with students who were so engrossed in virtual education for over a year during the pandemic. I feel like that's one of the biggest challenges that we'll have with young people is helping to connect them kind of back to the real world and not just within a virtual context. I think one of the biggest challenges or just observations about that is that it takes time. It takes time and personal connection with young people and maybe with each other to be able to help them become comfortable again within that context of community. We know that you could do a lot of things virtually. You can do a lot of things online. You can do a lot of things through a computer. And yet that personal contact skill that it takes to clearly communicate with someone, to understand the intonations. I grew up in the age of instant messenger and how half of my friends broke up one night over instant messenger with their girlfriend because you couldn't get the right intonation with an emoji or you were saying the wrong thing in this text message format. And I feel like COVID has made a major explosion of that same thing. I think that working with each other to learn how to communicate clearly what we intended to say, far beyond what could be written in a text message or posted in a TikTok video or read through an email. I feel like those are the great challenges in communication that are going to help us with education. When it comes to creativity, there's a lot of different creative solutions to help with that. I think creativity, one of the biggest things that holds people back from being creative is fear. It's the fear of failure. If we who have been there before, if the ones of us who have walked this path ahead of the young people we might be engaging with, if we can make pathways and places, spaces safe for them to overcome their fear of failure so that they might have that taste of success that drives them forward, I think that is the greatest gift that we can give to those who are coming behind us, because I think their fear of failure is totally hampering them. I think it's holding them back. And I think it's because maybe we're putting pressure on them. Maybe they're perceiving that we're putting pressure on them. But I think at the end of the day, there's got to be some type of connection that helps them become more comfortable with falling down and then getting back up. I think that'll be the thing creatively that helps to pull them out of this social strange quagmire they're in and helps to make them more comfortable. When they're more comfortable, they're more teachable, they're more coachable, they've got the ability to kind of move forward. But if they're hampered by fear, I don't think they're going to be able to make it. And so that's something that is probably really important for us to help develop best that we can.
So, with the connective part and the community part, I encourage people to volunteer in their community. What are some ways that any age can come to the Arts Council and plug in?
I think that if you're volunteering at a thing, you get to understand it. When I was in high school, for some reason I had decided that I wanted to be a pharmacist. Can you imagine that now? No. But that's what for a season of life, I thought I might want to be a pharmacist. So what did I do? I went and worked at a pharmacy. Now, was I like counting out pills for people? No, I was taking out the trash. I was mopping the floor. I was washing the coffee cups. Like, I wasn't doing anything important. But that experience of being in that environment, A, allowed me to really respect it, and B, realize I didn't want to do that. Like, I didn't want to work as a pharmacist. I guess I just didn't want to take organic chemistry. I mean, something clicked where I was like, I don't want to do that. When it comes to volunteering and anything that you're doing, it allows you to pull back the curtain, the behind the scenes. You might think you know what happens at a local art center, but you're going to have a really wonderful experience when you come and see what it takes to make it work, the people that are involved in doing it, meeting these incredible artists and musicians and having conversations with them and realizing they're normal people too, that were able to overcome, fears or adversities to get where they are. We've got opportunities for people to volunteer, helping us out with concerts, setting up chairs for concerts, coming and talking to folks about the different programs that we have, helping out with something like camp, helping out with the beverage trail that we have, the tasting trail that exists at the Arts Festival, the family activity area at the Arts Festival, helping to coordinate students for the Maryland Newell Youth Music Festival, being involved in handing out programs at a Lake Wells Chorale concert. There are so many types of things that any volunteer could be engaged with at the Arts Council. We try to make it fun. It is fun. The experiences that are there are pretty transformative. And as a volunteer, you get to come and experience them for free just because you're giving us a hand with some stuff. So we really hope that we can get people to come and engage in volunteerism, because it's a pretty fun experience, and it's a way to gauge on a deeper level with what's going on with the arts than simply paying for a ticket and showing up.
Say I needed some hours for community service. I was in high school. Is that something that you're able to facilitate and sign off on?
Yes, absolutely. And we have quite a few high school students that are coming for community service. And we've got some collegiate students, from Warner and Weber and Polk State. They're coming for hours too. So you can find information about that on our website, all the different volunteer opportunities that we have coming up in the fall, Those are going to be listed this soon this summer. I mean, you can come help us have the plein air symposium. You can come and help us out with an exhibition reception. All that stuff's going to be going on this fall. But yes, going to our website and filling out that volunteer form, that is like the best way, because then we know when you're available and the interests that you have, and then we can help connect you to those things.
Any last closing thoughts or things that you wanted to cover? Make sure that the community or educators need to know about the Arts Council.
The thing that I consistently hear from people within the community who have been around for quite some time is that they appreciate the energy level that's coming out of the Arts Council right now. There seems to be a growing amount of kind of energy and engagement. I hear people tell us that, they've never seen so many cars consistently in the parking lot of the Arts Council ever before. I take that as a good sign that we're heading in the right direction. And I would say for those of you who just want to get involved, I need you to realize you've got an incredible asset in the Arts Council and the Arts Center. Not because I'm there, but because we've got this great long history of being there. And you should come experience it. You should see what the inside of the building looks like. You should realize that, like, we've got some really great things going on with the arts, and how they're very approachable. It's designed for you to come and enjoy. And so really, I just invite everybody to come and check out the arts and check out the Arts Council and get involved in something a little fresh that we have going on here in Lake Wales.
Well, Tommy, thanks for spending some time with us on the show today. And whether you're a teacher, a parent, or just EduCurious, join the community as we explore various educational topics and learn from each other. We'll see you next time.